new Moderna COVID vaccine, critical race theory rears its ugly head once again, and the great economic reset takes center stage. Before we get started with the news, if you're watching this video, I ask that you please go hit that subscribe button on my homepage, like this video, and share it with your friends. I don't have a marketing team or a big fancy studio, so all my video traffic comes from you, my viewers. So what are you waiting for? It only takes 2 seconds to minimize this video, go to my homepage, and subscribe. If you like my content and would like to see more of it, if you want to be part of helping my channel grow, and if you want to help me combat the fake news narratives floating around the social media sphere, go hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and share this video with your friends. And if everyone who shared this video shared it one time, I would be the biggest YouTube channel by the end of the year. All right, let's hop on over to this Moderna vaccine, The Week article. There seems to be an understanding among companies developing coronavirus vaccines that the more candidates that are proven safe and effective, the better. But that doesn't mean the options won't be compared to each other, and it looks like Moderna, which on Monday, today at the time of recording this video, announced its late-stage trial found its vaccine to be nearly 95% effective, and it has a key advantage over Pfizer. Yes, Moderna's numbers are a little better than the data was... Moderna's numbers are a little better, and the data released was more comprehensive, but Pfizer's 90% rate still squashed expectations and is considered very promising. Where Moderna really seems to have a leg up is in the distribution front. Should Moderna get the FDA administration approval and in the United States, as well as the green light elsewhere, it would likely be easier to store than Pfizer's vaccine, which requires ultra-cold freezers to maintain stability. Moderna's vaccine, meanwhile, can be distributed using existing cold chain shipping and storage infrastructure, Reuters reports, and can remain stable in a regular refrigerator for as many as 30 days, exceeding expectations. So let's hop on over to this Bloomberg article. Moderna's COVID vaccine found 94.5% effective in early analysis. Moderna Incorporated said its COVID-19 vaccine was 94.5% effective in a preliminary analysis of a large late-stage clinical trial. Another sign that a fast-paced hunt by scientists and pharmaceutical companies is paying off with potent new tools that could help control a worsening pandemic. This is crazy. The highly positive readout comes just a week after a similar shot developed by Pfizer Incorporated and BioNTech SE was found to be more than 90% effective in an interim analysis. Both shots rely on a technology called messenger RNA that has never been used to build an approved vaccine. Soon, millions of people around the world could be spared from an illness by the breakthroughs. A first analysis of data from more than 30,000 volunteers showed Moderna's vaccine prevented virtually all symptomatic cases of COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus, the company said in a statement on Monday. Moderna's shares rose as much as 15% in New York. The rally in global shares following the news represented about $567 billion in market value added to the MSCI All-Country World Index. This is crazy. Just in January, the world was freaking out about this new virus coming out of China. I say January. It really wasn't until February, March that everyone started like shutting down and freaking out about it. We started to see death tolls just skyrocket, hospitalization rates going up. But now, 10 months later, we have a 95% effective vaccine. That's almost twice as effective as the flu, which is only about 50 to 54% effective, depending on which metric you use. This is insane. The United States is now, once again, leading the world in medical advancements. I mean, we always have been. More than half of medical advancements come out of the U.S., but this is insane. Less than a year. This has never happened before. It takes sometimes upwards of decades to produce a vaccine for for a virus. It took upwards, I think, of 5 or 6 years to develop a vaccine for the what was it? The Spanish flu. This is insane. This is so fast. Operation Warp Speed, enacted by President Trump, is the fastest anyone, anywhere, has ever, at any time, developed a vaccine for such a deadly virus, or any virus, really. The fact that we were able to get this out so fast is a testament to a couple of things. One, how amazing technology is. Two, how amazing our country is. If anyone tells you that our country isn't a wonderful place to be, their head isn't screwed on tight, or they are grossly misinformed. Which brings me to the next topic, that America really is a great place when you can have a black when you can have black celebrities who make millions of dollars every year for having one hit song like Pharrell Williams, when you can have people like him teaching a master class on racism. You really live in a great country. From the musician that showed us how to be happy comes a new life lesson on empathy. Pharrell Williams, in a partnership with Masterclass and Uninterrupted, released a 6-minute mini Masterclass episode on the much more in-depth topics of empathy, racism, and social justice. Williams, 47, tweeted the news on November 11th, and the full video is available now to stream on the Uninterrupted website. Oh, my heart is so happy that a black man can tell me I'm a racist. No. The Masterclass deck is packed with over 90 classes teaching everything from how to be a great writer to a potential course in curse words from Samuel L. Jackson. A monthly subscription costs $15 or $180 for a full year. Good grief. This is the first episode of 5 and is part of a new series called The Power You Hold. The other 4 films will be released each week through December 8th and feature Spike Lee, Ken Burns, Misty Copeland, and RuPaul, Ron Finley, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh my lordy. The series will examine issues of social justice and systemic racism, offering education and inspiration on ways to impact change, reads the banner on the Uninterrupted website. This is hysterical. This is really funny. Pharrell Williams tweeted out, "I can't wait for you all to check out the hashtag Power You Hold film I've made with @Masterclass and @Uninterrupted. I believe empathy is one way we can be of service to the world around us. Find out how at YouTube." Blah, 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 blah. There's the link. Okay, I should clarify. Racism is not funny. Okay? I know people are gonna pull that clip and be like, "Oh, Tim said racism's funny." No. Racism is not funny. Racism is a very serious issue. The fact that someone like Pharrell Williams is giving a masterclass on racism is hysterical. I want to make something abundantly clear. Being black, being Hispanic, being Asian, being Jewish does not make you an expert on racism. Your skin color does not make you an expert on anything. Being black does not make you an expert on racism any more than being white makes you an expert in mathematics. The two have nothing to do with each other. Your skin tone does not make you an expert in anything. Just because Pharrell Williams is black does not mean that he has experienced more racism than I have. Now, it's incredibly likely that he's experienced more racism than I have because he's black, but that doesn't mean that he has. Okay, I went to high school in Texas. Okay, there were a lot of black kids in that high school. Okay, and the only ones that didn't like me didn't like me because I told them when they were being racist. Everyone else, no one had a problem with me. All the people that didn't like me because specifically I was white, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is racism. To treat someone differently because of their skin color, because of their ethnic background, This is racism. The idea that black people can't be racist because they don't hold institutional power historically is laughable. Critical race theory needs to be abolished because it is a poison. It is poisonous to the experiment that is America. It's destroying our country faster than socialism will. And speaking of socialism, lots and lots of people are using the coronavirus as an excuse to push to push their socialist agendas. Now is the time for a great reset. Visit the Great Reset microsite here, whatever, yada, yada, yada. This is an article, World Economic Forum. They're pushing this idea of the Great Reset. So basically what the Great Reset is, and I'll read this article in a second, is to use the economic shutdowns of the coronavirus because the coronavirus shutdowns have caused more economic inequality than anything else in the last several hundred years, blah, blah, blah. There's the idea behind it. So we need to use it to push more fair outcomes in the economy. Which is laughable on its face, and I'll tell you why after I read the article. COVID-19 lockdowns may be gradually easing, but anxiety about the world's social and economic prospects is only intensifying. There is good reason to worry. A sharp economic downturn has already begun, and we could be facing the worst depression since the 1930s. But while this outcome is likely, it is not unavoidable. To achieve a better outcome, the world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our societies and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. Every country, from the United States to China, must participate, and every industry from oil and gas to tech must be transformed. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Ugh. There are many reasons to pursue a great reset, but the most urgent is COVID-19. Having already led to hundreds of thousands of deaths, the pandemic represents one of the worst public health crises in recent history. And with casualties still mounting in many parts of the world, it is far from over. This will have serious long-term consequences for economic growth, public debt, employment, and human well-being. According to the Financial Times, global government debt has already reached its highest level in peacetime. Moreover, unemployment is skyrocketing in many countries. The U.S., for example, 1 in 4 workers have filed for unemployment since mid-March, with new weekly claims far above historic heights. The International Monetary Fund expects the world economy to shrink by 3% this year, a downgrade of 6.3% percentage points in just 4 months. All of this will exacerbate the climate and social crises that were already underway. Some countries have already used the COVID-19 crisis as an excuse to weaken environmental protections and enforcement, and frustrations over social ills like rising inequality. U.S. billionaires combined wealth has increased during the crisis are intensifying. Okay, so the argument here is the government shutdowns. These government-caused problems now warrant government solutions? Left unaddressed, these crises, together with COVID-19, will deepen and leave the world even less sustainable, less equal, and more fragile. Incremental measures and ad hoc fixes will not suffice to prevent this scenario. We must build entirely new foundations for our economic and social systems. Economic? The level of cooperation and ambition this implies is unprecedented, but it is not some impossible dream. In fact, one silver lining of the pandemic is that it has shown how quickly we can make radical changes to our lifestyles. Okay, fair. Almost instantly, the crisis forced businesses and individuals to abandon practices long claimed to be essential, from frequent air travel to working in an office. Whatever. Likewise, populations have overwhelmingly shown a willingness to make sacrifices for the sake of health care and other essential workers and vulnerable populations such as the elderly. And many companies have stepped up to support their workers, customers, and local communities in a shift toward the kind of stakeholder capitalism in which they had previously paid lip service. Okay. Many companies have stepped to support their workers. Yeah, the big corporations that you claim to hate. I work for a small business. I don't get a raise this year. You know why? Because of the coronavirus lockdowns. Our business is running on razor-thin margins right now because of government control. And so your answer to this problem, your answer to the quote-unquote problem of big corporations gaining more power, which was caused by government control, your answer to this problem is more government control? That makes no sense whatsoever. That makes zero sense. That makes as much sense as shooting a potato at terrorists. It makes no sense. Using a potato cannon in a war zone, in an active firefight. You wouldn't want to do that. So why would you want to give the government more power when government power is the problem? These people don't know anything about anything. It's like they can't even use Google. Clearly, the will to build a better society does exist. Yeah, okay. It does. I want to build a better society. Just not the way you want to build a better society. Because the way you want to build a better society will not result in betterment, but in more inequality. We must use it to secure the Great Reset that we so badly need. We don't need it! That will require stronger and more effective governments. Through this does not imply an ideological push for bigger ones, and it will demand private sector engagement every step of the way. Fact check false. What you're outlining here is literally redistributionism. Not calling for bigger governments. Yes, you are. You're literally calling for bigger governments right now and saying that you're not. The gaslighting in this article is insane. The Great Reset agenda would have three main components. The first would steer the market towards fairer outcomes. The second component of a Great Reset agenda would ensure that investments advance shared goals such as equality and sustainability. The third and final priority of the Great Reset agenda is to harness the innovations of the Fourth Industrial Revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges. The COVID-19 crisis is affecting every facet of people's lives in every corner of the world, but tragedy need not be its only legacy. On the contrary, the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world to create a healthier, more equitable, and more prosperous future. Okay, so what's the price tag on all this? The European Commission, for one, has unveiled plans for a $826 billion recovery fund. The U.S., China, and Japan also have ambitious economic stimulus plans. $826 billion! Oh my gosh! Are you insane? $826 billion? That's more than $750 billion. Do you want to see our national debt clock right now? We're at $27 trillion. Adding $800 billion would put us over the edge to $28 trillion. Okay? Our U.S. gross domestic product is $21 trillion. We have eclipsed, our national debt has eclipsed our GDP. We are now living above our means. You know what happens to people who live above their means? They end up homeless. They get evicted. They can't pay their bills. They can't pay for gas in their car. And so what do? They turn to the only place they can. Crime. The United States is living above its means right now. We need to shut it down fast. It needs to happen now before the damage can be undone. The solution to government lockdowns, the solution to government control, the problem of government control is not more government control, but less. and less government spending, something that the GOP has been preaching and really not been great at enacting, but they've been talking about it for decades. You can see in the 1960, our debt to GDP ratio is 52%, and then in 1980 it was down to 34. It's a pretty big drop, and then in 2000 back up to 55. But now, 20 years later, we're at 128%. We need to stop spending more than we're making. Stop spending money on candy. Stop buying soda. Stop buying drugs and guns and alcohol and things you don't need. The U.S. government is not meant to support the country, the population of the country. The U.S. government is not a nanny state. Okay? The U.S. government is meant to protect us, and that's really about it. To protect us from outside forces and to make sure that our rights are not infringed upon. Not to give us rights, not to take our rights, but to make sure that our pre-government rights are not trampled all over. That is the point of the U.S. Constitution. All right. I will be back tomorrow with another video. Try not to burn down the country over the next 24 hours. I know the riots are getting kind of crazy again. There were reports of a couple of riots after the Million MAGA March, as if that was as big a deal as the 200 days of Portland, Oregon riots. Try not to burn down the country while I'm gone. Like I said at the beginning of the video, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Share this video with your friends to help me combat the false news, fake news narratives floating around the social media sphere. See you here tomorrow.